We hope you've got your cups filled with some tea because our cup of tea is ready to speak all things women's soccer with you today. My name's Megan Warner and I'm joined by my co-hosts Harlie Ford and Katie Goodman. How are you both today?
Excellent. Pretty good. Chilling. I have a really full day ahead of me, so waking up and talking about soccer with you guys is a pretty excellent start.
Heck yeah, it's pretty early over here. It's 8 a.m. Central Time. I think you're also on Central Time now, right, Megan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so welcome to the Early Bird Club. But
Yeah.
no, I like getting up early too and just getting things going, like you said, and instead of being a slob, being in bed all day, because I totally would be if we didn't have anything else to do. So yeah, but I love waking up talking soccer as well.
Yeah, I get the easy bit. I get to wake up much later than you guys, so
I know.
Power to you.
The 9 a.m. start. 8 a.m. is definitely, it's only an hour, but it's an important hour.
Yeah, it really is because it's so early. It can make all the difference sometimes, for sure. And good morning, Joe. I saw your comment there.
Good morning.
So let's get the show started by spilling the latest tea, latest and greatest in WoSo. And we're going to start off with some devastating news, to be brutally honest. I'm sure many people are aware of everything that's going on in Afghanistan right now. And we are solely going to talk about this from the perspective of women's soccer. But first and foremost, we would like to say that our cup of tea is sending all our thoughts and prayers to everybody over in Afghanistan. And from a women's soccer perspective, the situation has just been crazy and devastating. So Khalida Popal, who was the former captain of the Afghanistan women's national team, who actually fled to Denmark back in 2011 because of her role in establishing the women's soccer team. She was forced to flee the country way back in 2011 because of her involvement in that, and she was scared for her life. And since then, this year, she has had to put out a message to her teammates to tell them to burn their t-shirts, burn their national team jerseys, and take down everything on social media that shows them being a part of the national team, being involved in women's soccer, because their lives are at risk. And she played a pivotal role in fighting to bring visibility to women's soccer and to give those athletes in Afghanistan a voice and a platform to be able to play. And in a recent quote that she put out in an interview, she said that it was extremely painful for her to have to tell her teammates to silence their voice and get rid of everything that attached them to the national team, which was such an honor and an incredible achievement for those girls to be able to play. The thought of just having to abolish that from their lives is devastating.
Yeah, I genuinely cannot imagine what those women are going through. And also, like, that message she put out, she sent that out a week ago. And since then, there's been efforts and organizations working to try and get those women footballers out of the area. So there has been an important victory, which is happier news, I suppose, in the midst of really, really devastating experiences. Reports say that the national team were among a group of 75 people who were evacuated on a flight out of Kabul. The Global Soccer Players Union put out an article on Wednesday as well, thanking the Australian government for the evacuation of a large number of female footballers and athletes. And so our cup of tea, we stand behind you guys, and we stand behind every single person in that situation who's just, at risk because they want to play the game that they love, and now it's being taken from them.
Yeah. It's something when, it's things like these that show us what we take for granted, right? Like simply getting up, going to practice, playing soccer without having to fear for your life, for wanting to do something different, going to school without having to fear for your life, without wanting to do something different. So, I am glad they've found refuge, and I would really like to see something moving forward for them. Is there a fund going? Like, I would like to dig a little deeper into that and, see how we can support them and to see how, like, maybe we can help them to live out the rest of their soccer careers, because what an injustice, right? To just have something like that stripped from you. I mean, you're on the national team, and Man, I can't imagine. But on a much lighter note, actually, Stephanie LeBay, who has just now signed a 2-year deal with PSG in France, and now she's a UWS alumni from New England Mutiny and Calgary Foothills. So she's played for both, and she most recently won a gold medal with Canada in the Olympics this summer. So you know what, Stephanie, congratulations. Amazing. Thanks for repping the UWS. Thanks for doing great things, because it lifts everybody up in the process. And she's a great player. She's a great player. So it doesn't surprise me one bit. Yep.
Yeah, she definitely had an awesome tournament this summer. I'm not surprised that PSG wanted to pick her up after that. Some more really great news came out of Leicester, England this week. So the Leicester City women's team, the Foxes, will be competing in the Women's Super League for the first time since they achieved promotion last season. And the news came out that they will be playing the majority of their home matches at the King Power Stadium, which is Leicester City Stadium, where the men's professional team plays. And this is a huge achievement, like an incredible momentous occasion, because the Women's Super League teams, there'll be the Chelsea women's professional team, the Arsenal women's professional team, the Leicester women's professional team, and yet they don't play in the
stadium. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so this is a huge step from Leicester. It's not all the home games, but it is the majority. And so we will take this win, and I really hope other teams are able to follow suit. 2 games in the stadium is...
Sorry.
Yeah,
I was trying so hard. I'm like, don't sneeze in the middle of her speaking right now. But you know what? We're live, okay? That's what happens on live.
It was a very
live
streams,
of course. Sorry. Okay, continue.
Usually, we only have about 2 games, maybe 3 games a season that get to be played in those stadiums, and so for Leicester City to give their women's professional team this opportunity, it's just incredible. And I really hope we continue to see this in the Women's Super League and leagues across the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wild to me that you can be a massive club and, be so well renowned for your men's program and then not let your women play on that same platform. Like, I don't, it doesn't make sense to me.
Seriously, it does not compute.
No.
Yeah.
However, this week on the show, we get to continue our very favorite mini-series all about the women in WoSo. But this week we have a little bit of a spin on it because this is the women in WoSo. So we are all about empowering women and supporting women supporting women. It's a good time. But we cannot forget that women's soccer has some incredible allies in the men that support the game. And today, we are joined by one of them. And I'm sure many of the people watching now know him because he is Mr. UWS. It's the UWS Weekly host and former Our Cup of Tea host, Jonathan Ward.
What is going on, ladies? How y'all doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
Man,
It's good to have you here.
It's really weird to be on the other side of this platform. Normally I'm doing all the interviewing, and now it's kind of cook time for me, right?
Mm-hmm. You're on the hot seat.
Hot seat, I like it. So yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Good morning.
Good morning. So firstly, Jonathan, we just want to thank you for everything that you do for us personally as individuals, and then also for women's soccer. The shows that you do, the promoting on social media, and your support is not only allowed UWS to be where it is, but it's allowed players to have so many different opportunities within soccer. But we want to know, why is it that you put so much time? Tell us why you spend all this time supporting the game and what it really means to you.
So it started off, growing up as a male, you always hear about soccer clubs, right? And growing up in the 80s as an 80s kid, it was always, you got to support Glasgow Celtic, you got to support Manchester United. Those are our family clubs. And they didn't have women's teams at the time. They do now, but at the time they didn't. And so you really become invested in that club. And, Megan, you can attest to the idea of Watford, right? It's got a good, rich history. And so growing up, it was old men's soccer. And then I started becoming a teacher back in 2008, and I was working with varsity teams and JV men's teams, boys teams. And I remember being out at practice one day, and the coach was for the girls varsity team at Kennedy High School here in California. The coach was just berating the girls, just absolute dogging them, making them like, as a player myself, I never experienced what those girls were going through. And I stepped up. I said, man, you're being too tough. Like, slow it down. You know, they're working jobs. They're taking care of family members. They don't always make practice. They're working on their grades. Like, you got to have some compassion. And he looked at me and said, then you coach. And he left.
Oh.
And so for me, I was like, okay, well, I'll coach. And so then I started to think about the game and, you know, what about these girls? Like, what outlets do they have? What platforms do they get? This is before Twitter. You know, Facebook was for old people, still is. Instagram wasn't around. So they didn't really know what was happening around them. They didn't know about other leagues that they could work for. College soccer wasn't where it is now. And so for me, it was an opportunity to teach, to learn, to grow the game for these girls. You know, these girls who needed an outlet from Richmond, California. These girls who it wasn't always perfect for them, right? They had to worry about how they got home or what they were able to eat. And so there was a lot of empathy for that. So as I started to grow, you know, I had my son and then I had my daughter, and it was a matter of, okay, I really need to step up my game to make sure she knows there's an opportunity for her to play at any level she wants, to be a part of anything. Yes, I could teach her the men's teams, but that doesn't give her, you know, the Katie, the Megan, the Harlie examples, right, of what it means to play at a different level. And so I made it a point to start getting more invested, to learn more, to teach myself more about the women's side of the game. And I continue coaching. I'm still coaching. I took on a JV team this year. I'm coaching my son's U7. Yeah,
wow.
it's
Okay.
legit now, right? Shout out to Bridges here. But you know, it was a matter of making sure my daughter and her friends had an opportunity or knew where there was opportunities to continue to play the game that I love, that you guys love, that everybody loves. And so that's the main thing for me.
Absolutely love that. I mean, and that's the thing, just in supporting women in general, like I almost wish every guy would have a daughter because I feel like it kind of changes their perspective a little bit and how you treat us, because you want your daughter to be treated well too. So
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I also think it's very admirable that, you know, the work that you're doing is trying to make the world a little bit of an easier place for the kids growing up in it. So that's really amazing.
Thank you.
For real. Yeah. And you know, like I couldn't be more grateful. I feel like I, you know, didn't even get to meet you, and you were very open and welcoming and accepting me on the UWS weekly show, you know? So I'm like just totally grateful for that. And I know like Megan and Harlie, you guys can attest to that too, but I'm just, you know, it's not every day that you get someone who's like, yeah, let's give it a try and see what happens, you know? So there's a lot to be said there about you sharing your platform. I mean, we could go on, right? But you know, and there's so many ways that you can really help support women's soccer, right? I mean, like you could find your just find your local soccer team and then support them if you can, you know, whether it's watching games on TV or like even just like interacting on the socials, things like that, you know? So I don't know. I mean, are there teams that you guys support in your local area, things that you're doing, you know, like, because it also comes down from women as well, women supporting women, am I right? You know? Yeah. So I don't know, like what are your thoughts, like
I definitely think that a lot of people maybe, one, they don't realize how much the support means, and I hope that, you know, when we do shows like this, it shows that, you know, we see you and like we love that you put time and effort into supporting us, but also people don't realize all the ways that you can support women's soccer. Like you said, Katie, finding your local women's soccer team. There is so many women's soccer teams about now. Like there is one in your area. I'm pretty positive of it. So like go out and find them. And if not, supporting games on TV. I think that's another huge thing for me. The amount of women's soccer TV coverage has literally grown an insane amount. Like from me growing up, like if I wanted to go see a game, like my dad would take me and my sister down to Boreham Wood, if any English people know, to watch Arsenal ladies play. And like there was no access to be able to watch them on TV or follow them on social media and get score updates. But now that is just so readily available to us. So like for me, I would say a huge thing to support women's soccer is if you can't get to a game, watch it on TV because that's just going to increase the media coverage, and follow them on social media because there's a lot of content out there.
Right, yeah. And just watching them on TV, they get ratings. And so every time you get a spike in ratings, that just gives more causation to give them more coverage just from the media world. So, I mean, talking about the Tokyo Olympics, people were so surprised that people in the United States were waking up at 2 a.m. to watch women's soccer. And like, yes, because we're super fans and it's a thing and they need more coverage. And come on, help us out here. Help us help you, okay?
Jonathan, were you that early? Up that early?
I was. But it's not that it's difficult, right? Growing up, you all have a club. Unfortunately, some people have Arsenal, who's getting spanked right now by Man City. That's a different story. A lot of people have a club that they grow up following, whether it's an English side or a Spanish side. Guess what? They have women's teams now, so it's not hard to follow along, right? I go back and I look in July, late July, we had the UWS championships down in Round Rock, Texas. Wow, let me tell you about that experience. Fun times, great times. Hotel room, not so much. But in Texas, we had 8,600 people who watched that live stream or rewatched it. So there's an audience, and if you can only think about that 8,600 people who paid attention to the weekend, imagine those 8,600 people watching their favorite club and what that does, because that 8,600 people, there's another 8,600 people. That's 1,600 plus. I'm not a mathematician, but in the end, it grows, right? And it helps build the game, and people start to pay attention. And somebody in your household or somebody that is walking through your house because they're there, not because they walked in the front door, but because they're there, they see this happening, right? And they're, oh, well, I need to make sure I pay attention. Like, this is actually really good stuff. We have this idea that women's soccer is not as aggressive. It's not as well, it's slow.
Yeah, but
there's no passion. But if you know the game, if you understand what's happening and how the game is to be played, you see more technicality. You see more tactics as it relates to, okay, let's work on switching the ball, let's work back, as opposed to 39 step overs and I'm going to try to do a 1v1 the whole way through, right? And so the reality is that women's soccer is going to give us a cleaner look, right? I still use, the game back in the last World Cup, the women's final, where the United States just demolished, I can't think of who it was. I think it was France. And so we watched that. Like, that's what my son watches. Like, I need you to look at the spacing. I need you to look at the triangles that are being formed. I need you to see all of this. So you can learn more from women's soccer, watching it, stopping, breaking it down, than sometimes you can in men's. Just saying.
Right.
I would agree.
Yeah. I'm like, you can learn how to flop really well in men's. I'm just kidding.
That's just
I'm
me.
just kidding. Shots fired. Papa. Yeah. Just kidding.
Oh, no.
Shots fired, y'all. I'm just kidding. Totally
Katie woke up
JK.
with a little bit of Katie's
She's
cheer.
fresh. She's fresh.
She is
All of the sass coming through.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Jonathan,
Yeah,
I
no.
would say, oh, sorry, Katie.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go on.
I would say you more or less lived and died on the road to Round Rock. Like, you were there for every second of it, and you essentially have become the voice of UWS. Like, I don't think there's anyone in this league who doesn't know who you are. 8,600 people on that stream know who you are. So, but besides that, like, part of being the voice of UWS is that you have created so many platforms to talk about it, including our Cup of Tea and, the UWS Weekly Show and the Kickoff Show. So, What was the inspiration behind starting those shows? Like, why did you want to do that?
So for me, as a teacher, I learned a lot during COVID. And it was more about just finding ways to do stuff that kept me occupied. I want my kids to see that, hey, dad wasn't just a teacher, dad did more, but also at the same time, I wasn't coaching. I wasn't a part of the game. I stepped away for the game just to get a reality check. And so I was working with the idea of building this platform. Our cup of tea was, a friend of mine, Liz, who's the co-founder and co-host at the time. We just sat down. We're like, we need to do a show on women's soccer. Why? Because nobody else is doing it. There's podcasts. There's no show. And so what we tried to do is grow it and build it. So we eventually reached out to UWS and was just like, hey, look, you're missing an opportunity. You're missing an opportunity to build your brand and grow the league into other areas in the social media realm. And if you look from when we started, which was just about last November, November of 2020, I can't even think about where we're at. Years are flying by on me here. But we started in November, and since November, here we are, August of 2021. We've probably grown faster on social media than we anticipated originally. So, going back to your question, Harlie, of why or how, it was just a matter of giving a platform, providing a voice, right? A lot of people don't understand how to do it. I knew how to do it. I just had to want to do it. And so when I started Our Cup of Tea, it was able to grow and build.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, I have definitely benefited from you just having an idea and actually being willing to reach out to people and try and go through with it. Like being on the kickoff show was so much fun. Like I felt like, I was on ESPN, it was the real deal. It's the best way to get hyped up for the game, and everything that you do, and all these shows, Our Cup of Tea, the kickoff show, the weekly show, they're so professional. They're run smoothly, and people appreciate that. They tune in to watch, and that's why we see this growth going about, because it does take time, but it's worth it. So, Jonathan, can you tell us, what would you like to see grow in the women's game? What would you like to see continue to happen?
More voices, more female players who have the experience, who played the game, who want to talk about the game or break the game down or help, define their club. So for me, ideally, I would love for Katie to have a San Antonio Athenian show. I would love there to be a Unity Weekly. I would love for there to be a Lancaster Inferno Weekly. I want clubs to be represented. I want clubs to have an opportunity, especially at the semi-pro level. We've seen over 6 women right now who have signed professional contracts this summer. Next summer, I want 12. The next summer, 24. I want to see these women grow, but also life after soccer has to have something. And look, if you've played the game, you know the game. Therefore, you should talk about the game. You're not required to. I'm not forcing you to. But if it's something you're passionate about, hey, my email, jward@uwssoccer.com. There you go. Hit me up. Let me know. And let's build something for your local club. And that goes to any male who's listening and watching right now, any woman who is paying attention. Send me an email. If you want to do a UWS specific show for your local club, let's have a conversation. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. And Jonathan, that is just case in point of why you're so freaking awesome, because you have no problem throwing your email out there. Like a lot of times in the world of media and even sports, just sports media, it's so hard to break into sometimes for women. So just having that open door policy and that transparency that you have, that's exactly what changes the game for us, on this side. And you talked about 8,600 people watching that stream. Imagine how many people didn't even know about what was going on. Imagine how many people don't even know about the league yet. So every time you share a post, every time you start helping us to raise awareness in any way possible, that number is only going to grow, right? And I think they say that it takes like post the same exact message like 3 different times in order for it to even like resonate for people. So like, you're not going to overdo it. If you're a supporter, like let it show, because it's only going to help build women's soccer. And again, spot on with the whole local just network thing, because with the Athenians, like I know just simply like being able to be a part of this helped them to grow as well. And just the more platforms you can be on, the more exposure you're going to get. It's not going to hurt you to have your own show and to talk about it. It's definitely only going to help you.
Well, I'm not going to
Yeah.
sit here and say I'm everybody's cup of tea, because there's definitely some people out there who question me as what I do. But at the end of the day, look, as long as I'm confident with what I'm doing and I'm comfortable putting myself out there for this, it's only going to make things around me better. You don't have to like me. I'm not about that. Like you could say my voice sucks. You could say, oh, he's got a bad hairline. I do. It's receding. Kids challenge me to grow a mullet. So now my middle school kids want me to grow a mullet. Let's go. But
it's in style now.
It is.
Just gonna
Look,
say,
hey,
yeah.
I would love some head lettuce. Let's see what happens, right? But I want people to know that they have an opportunity. And I'll say this. So Harlie, you're the second set of hosts, right? For our cup of tea. Megan, Katie, you both did the kickoff show. There's a reason you're doing this, because you love the game and you both said yes, right? And you've both grown. All three of you have grown. And it was amazing, refreshing to see Megan get some highlights from a local magazine for her effort. Katie, you're jumping up into MLS world. Harlie is moving to Oklahoma, is what it sounds like. What it is? We're moving to Oklahoma.
Staying busy.
Yeah.
We're moving to Oklahoma. Hey. So, and at the same time, we're able to help grow clubs.
Right.
I mean, Athenians, once you hit the kickoff show, it was like Athenians social media, they started to pump up and raise up. Unity's always been at the forefront of UWS2 social media and UWS social media. They've got a following all the way to England, for crying out loud, because of what they're able to do and who they tap out.
Yeah, we're well loved overseas.
Yeah. So, think about that, right? And again, I want to be able to create and build a platform that everybody is comfortable using, but also comfortable being a part of. And if you want to be a part of it, hey, again, jward@uwssoccer.com, hit me up, let me know, and let's make it happen. What is a try? A try is an opportunity to learn and grow. And that's what women need in order to get into levels. We always hear, oh, well, this person and they got picked because of this and that, and they're doing this. And look, it just takes an opportunity. It just takes a chance. And let's take that chance. Let's do it together.
Heck yeah. Woo, I'm like pumped. I'm like, I want to like jump out of my seat for the people whose opportunity this is for. I'm like, yes, woof, pep talk. Okay. Yeah, no, but I mean, thank you again for being you. You're an amazing ally for women's soccer, and you're among so many of all of the allies that we just want to say a huge thank you to. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. The allies are so important, and that's why we've dedicated a whole show to them and just talking about what our allies are doing to grow the game. People like Jonathan taking their time to show their support. I also want to give a special shout out to all the dads out there, because dads are also a big ally for women's soccer. Personal standpoint, my dad he's the reason I got started in the game. He's the reason I was able to play the game. And his support and like his passion for women's soccer just amazes me and has allowed me to become the person that I am. So my family and my dad, huge shout out to them, because they are massive allies of women's soccer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say my dad's pretty much a champion of women's soccer too. He's got 3 girls, so
same. Yeah. Same here.
We also are some of our cup of tea's biggest allies and supporters, who we are incredibly appreciative to just film a short clip about why they love women's soccer so much and why it's important to them to support the game. So without further ado, let's get into some videos from our cup of tea's biggest allies.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Archipati, for having me on your show. The men and women's soccer, it's a great honor. I really think it's awesome, and thank you again for including me. I'm Mark Ford with Unity FC Soccer, and in case you didn't know that, not that it matters, because it really doesn't. So why do I think the women's game is better? I think the women's game of soccer is better because it's more technical, passionate, there's better sportsmanship, there's a level of ferocity that you generally don't see in the men's game. And the next time that you see a women's player do 18 barrel rolls down the field, clutching her ankle, doing a full-on Neymar, I'm hurt. That'll be the first time you see it, or I see it, because I've never seen it. It may have happened somewhere, but I've never seen it. So, and when things like that happen, people watching the game on the sidelines or on TV or streaming the games like we do, they think it's a bit of a joke. And when the women are playing, it's no joke. It's a serious game, serious business. So I think that the whole approach and the whole aspect of the game is much superior. Personally, as a girl dad, I like to think I'm pretty enlightened on issues of femininity, but I'm a guy, so I can never really truly know what a woman goes through. I may think I do, but I don't. So through that, the creation of unity is that we want to provide that forum of inclusion, not exclusion, because life is hard enough for women. The deck is stacked against them, let alone adding a component of trying to play sports and dealing with that pressure. So we take the pressure off, and our goal is that one day women will not be treated as equals. Maybe they'll be treated just a little bit better than men, because for many years men have been dominant and we all have had our way and run the world. And so you can say, well, gee, Mr. Ford, why would you want women to be treated better? Because they deserve it, because it's been 1,000 years that they haven't been. So that's my goal, that's my aim. And thank you again for having me on our cup of tea. Y'all do a great job. Keep carrying the fire and stay with it. And much love. Thank you.
He's so cute.
Harlie,
He did
I
that on
love
his
him.
cell phone because Shasta's at the Little League World Series, so she was not able to help Dad on that one. So hey, good job, Mark.
I'm
job.
very, very, very proud of him. That's very well done.
Oh, that
He's very
was well
sweet.
done.
Hey,
I
guys,
love
here's a
him
quick
immediately.
Oh, Scott Addington.
Okay, we got another video.
There we go.
Hey guys, here's a quick story on how I became a women's soccer fan. When I played high school soccer my junior season, our boys team played our girls team in a scrimmage, and the scrimmage wound up 2-2. We played it straight up. It wasn't a situation where some of the boys weren't trying hard. We tried our best, and the girls team simply played us to a tie. And that was an object lesson and equality for me, and it showed me that the beautiful game is its most beautiful when everyone gets a chance to play. So if you have a girls or a women's soccer team near you, support them. If you don't have one near you, find one to cheer for. It's a great, great game, and it's very important that we all get behind it. Thanks.
Oh.
Aww,
Thanks, Scott.
that's cool. Yeah.
That was excellent.
I love
like
the accent.
I love the perspective too. Like, that does happen a lot. Like, especially in high school, varsity will play JV. Like, that's the thing we used to do. So, like, yeah, no, that's a really cool perspective.
Guys, Danny Catula here, Small World Soccer founder and editor and a bunch of other stuff. I love women's soccer because it is absolutely the future of this game. And there's just so much talent there. There's so many awesome people, both on the field and off the field, who are pioneering this sport. And I'm proud to say that I'm somebody who's helping kind of promote that because it's an incredible aspect of this game. It's growing a lot, and it's so cool. It's exactly at the essence of what Small World does, to watch, how underappreciated and how underserved these women are in media coverage. And it just literally doesn't matter. They continue to go out and kill it and make us all wish we had covered them even more. So it's incredible to watch, their resolve, their effort, as well as their talent on the pitch. There's a lot to like, and I don't think there's anything not to like. The women's game is absolutely where the future of soccer is at, and that's why I love the women's game.
I've seen him on the road going to women's soccer games. Danny Small World, you are in the women's game for sure.
For real, yes. In it to win it.
Howdy, I'm Danny Woodfill, General Manager of FC Austin Elite. I've been a women's soccer fan since the 1900s. It was then that I started my first women's soccer team in College Station, Texas. It's important to me to support women's soccer, to make sure that women have the same opportunity that men do to play the game that we all love. Let's give this generation of girls the dream of growing up to be professional soccer players and the reality to make that happen. Thank you to organizations like Our Cup of Tea and the Elite Soccer Network for helping make those dreams a reality.
Oh, that was so cute. Back in the
really cute.
1900s, with our wagon wheels of women's soccer, we got the ruts here.
Our Cup of Tea. Happy to Joe's here, aka Joe Johnstone. And my support for the women's game stems from a much younger, more talented sister, and seeing her ability on the ball and knowing that she was always going to be a better soccer player than I was technically. And that kind of began my support and overall appreciation of the women's game. And then after having the Olympics here in '96 and seeing Brianna Scurry in goal, she quickly became my second favorite goalkeeper of all time. Hashtag GK Union. And then seeing as I got older the divergence of support among the men and women's game that you don't see in the youth ranks, I realized that I needed to get more involved in my support for developing and growing the women's game if I was truly going to grow the game holistically as I wish to. So that's kind of my progression and my journey thus far. Hopefully we'll come to a point where, you know, everyone's supported the same and we all love the game for the game itself, regardless of who's playing. But I appreciate the opportunity and I hope you guys have a great day.
Oh, Joe, we love you. I know you're watching too. Oh, biggest heart.
That man is a ray of sunshine. I really want to meet
For real.
you.
I know, right?
It's so crazy. I feel
In
like
person.
even Jonathan, like I haven't even met you, but like it
I
kind of
know.
feels like because we have this incredible community that we all actually know each other.
Yeah, we are all
One
networked.
last video.
Folks, my name is Jake, also known as DJ Smook.
Oh, Jake! I'm gonna cry.
Women's football fan and advocate. The reason why I love women's football so much is, hey, they're world-class athletes just like the men's football teams and players are. And they deserve world-class media attention, which is why I promote and solely focus on women's football. To Megan, Harlie, and Katie, thank you so much for allowing me to participate in this. Best of luck to you on Our Cup of Tea.
Jake. Oh, thank you, Jake.
Jake is awesome.
Jake is the coolest. He actually got to come out to the Athenians games quite a bit last season, and so he's been one of our supporters for a while, and so I just love that he is like taken into this community. And I mean, it goes to show you how like just, you know, a comment here and there, a share here and there, like it really means the world to us. Like we're at that point in the game where, you know, something like that does make a big difference. You're not going to find this on a men's soccer platform. They're not going to be thanking their fans for like continued support because they have that all the time. So if that doesn't put it in perspective for you, like it should. If you're out there watching, you know, and you're considering vamping up your support, it's always appreciated. Yeah. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, special shout out to Jake there. I mean, like I genuinely it makes me feel like I need to do better, you know, like the way that he operates in the women's community and just making sure that like he's there for practices and games in any kind of level of soccer. It doesn't matter what it is, from professional to grassroots. That guy's there for it, and I'm so appreciative. It really means the world, and it's like to everyone. I mean, Danny Woodfill creating FC Austin Elite. I mean, like that is a team that has really championed a lot of growth for the grassroots soccer community. You know, my dad personally, like I wouldn't be able to play as long as I have without him. So the allies, the men of soccer, like you guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. We want to thank everybody for joining us today on Our Cup of Tea. Thank you to all our incredible Our Cup of Tea community for getting involved in today's show with those videos. Thank you to Jonathan Ward for joining us back on Our Cup of Tea on the flip side. That was a lot of fun. And special thank you as well for helping us just bring this show to everybody's screens and for the UWF and the UWS to continue to grow. We are so appreciative. If you haven't already, I mean, we've said it enough. Please follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, your hosts individually, clubs that you see. Just get involved, get interactive. It means the world, as you can tell. And just thank you to everybody for all that you have done so far. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Keep sipping.
Yes.